Brawl Stars just released the roadmap for the rest of this year and 2025, and it covers things from power level 12 to a new map maker overhaul and even brand new abilities. I'm intrigued. So once a year, Brawl Stars puts out a roadmap, and it gives us great insight to the year ahead. Now, I'm going to cover everything that they showed and told us, but I'm also going to dive deeper because I think that they may have given us some huge hints on what could be coming next year to Brawl Stars. Now, first off, Frank said that they're going to be doing more collabs in the future because, well, collabs are fun, but also that they're going to be working on adding more permanent features as well. They plan on doing this by alternating big features with big collabs and events, so there should be a nice mix of things to come. Now, during this one little bit, Frank did say that one thing that they're going to be doing is either reworking or removing things that don't work, like
Mega Pig,
which seems like a pretty solid choice because it's kind of just a chore nowadays. So for the next update, they announced two things. First off, there will be a temporary event that will have a theme of being a battle between Mortis and Edgar, like who is the worst teammate. But other than that, he didn't give any details in their video, but I'll be bringing you all the update info, including sneak peeks, so be sure to subscribe for that if you're interested. And then he gave us a very brief rundown on what I shared with you guys a couple of days ago about the trophy reset rework. Now, if you want more information on how exactly that's going to work, feel free to watch that video, but as a 10-second refresher, they're going to rework how your trophies are being reset. Every brawler over 1,000 trophies gets reset back to 1,000 each season. Now, under 1,000, there is no reset. Every trophy over 1,000 you gain goes towards a loot box that you collect at the end of the season that mainly contains cosmetics. And I think I missed my 10-second mark. Oh well. Now there is a lot more to it, so watch that video if you haven't already, but that's the gist of it. Now for the December update, which is traditionally a very large one, there's going to be something big coming. Now they mentioned Star Park, so it very well could be related to lore, but also, he could have just been using the name Star Park interchangeably with Brawl Stars, but I do expect something to at least be lore related in that update. Now moving into 2025. The first update of the year is going to focus around rank mode and esports, specifically finding ways to integrate the two together. Now, Frank mentioned something about making it possible to use ranked as another avenue for qualifying for the Brawl Stars Championship. However, he also mentioned about integrating esports into the game. Maybe there might be a tab for the esports section or some other sort of interaction that they can do. I can't say for sure, but they clearly want to mesh the two of them together better than it currently is. Now, he did say that there are going to be some changes to rank mode itself. Right now, there's just a hard cutoff between gold and diamond. I mean, you go from games that are quick and easy to a full-on best of 3 with picks and bans. And I would imagine that there are a ton of players who just simply stop playing ranked as soon as they hit diamond. My guess here is that they want to ramp from the easy games to the more intensive ones to be not as steep as it currently is. I mean, maybe they do like picks and bans, but it's still a best of 1. Or maybe they do picks, but no bans, and it's just a best of 3. Or maybe they do a best of 3 without picks or bans. I mean, I don't know, but I can see those being some possibilities because right now, again, the difference between gold going up to diamond, it's a huge time differential, how much time you have to play for one single match, and there's got to be some way to smooth that out. Now, he also mentioned some quality of life improvements to rank mode, like a guaranteed skin of the season if you've opened up a certain amount of rank drops, which of course would be a really big positive, especially for those who have gotten unlucky like I have for the past few seasons. I'm so sick of seeing that 100 bling screen. I see the 100 bling in my nightmares, man. Now in April, Frank said that there was going to be
a really, really cool collab. Can you guess what it could be? And some small improvements to gameplay alongside it.
Now moving on to April, they're thinking about reworking the mastery system and the trophy road. They've been thinking of ways to tie in the trophy road with the lore in-game, as there are lots of really cool things with the lore of the game, and they've never really crossed over into the game except for a few very, specific instances. And it might be a cool way for them to tell some stories while at the same time reworking that entire system. Now for June, they gave us another really big piece of information, and that is that they are exploring putting achievements in the game. Now, how that looks is unknown, but the general concept is a great one, and I think that it would add another thing in the game that people could grind towards. Then they're going to have another collab in June again. But then they shared a big piece of news that by June of next year, every brawler in the game will have a hypercharge, and all new brawlers that get released will be released with their hypercharge ready to go, which is going to be great. But then it also brought up the question of, okay, so hypercharges are done. What's next after that? And here's where they showed some stuff that my spidey senses started tingling. Now, Frank mentioned that after all of the hypercharges are out, they want to put a new big gameplay feature in the game. More specifically, something to do with Brawler. Now, currently, many longtime players are overwhelmed with the amount of PowerPoints that they have, and they also want something new. And Frank mentioned a new ability that could be upgraded through PowerPoints. Now, that's what they said. However, now I'm going to do some heavy speculation on that video. Now, during that presentation, you see this graphic of Colt, and then there's a phone behind him with some controls, and it's playing Brawl Stars basically, but there's something that's really odd about it. Now, on the right-hand side, there's your normal fire button, but above it, it has what looks like are two gadgets and then another button. Now, they don't show the super button on this at all, but I'm just going to conveniently imagine that it's still there because these three buttons are much smaller than like a super button it normally would be. Now, I know that they have talked before about adding another button into the game, and if I recall correctly, it was also kind of just like an offhand comment, and it might have been in the Time to Explain podcast, but I also have zero doubt that they have talked about this within the team. So they want another ability that you can upgrade with PowerPoints, and right before they said that, they showed this screen that has extra buttons on it. But then they said something that made me sit straight up in my seat.
Is it time for power level 12?
And the answer, thankfully, is no. They don't feel like adding another level is the answer to the game, which I am personally very glad for, because like adding another level by itself, that's boring and it seems lazy. Then for the last update of the year, they want to completely revamp and rework
the map maker,
which I am absolutely stoked for. Now, if you've been playing Brawl Stars long enough, you no doubt remember when map maker was just like the hype thing and people played it and made cool maps and had fun in it all the time. Well, yeah, that was a time ago. That was a little bit ago. But now it's just been sitting around like no changes, no improvements or anything. So they want to take that challenge on. And first off, they want people to be able to share a code of a map that they've made online with your friends or whoever, and anybody can put in that code and go play on your map. And while that's pretty cool, that doesn't really change Map Maker itself. But except they said that they also want to address that too. They want to make Map Maker more like a sandbox experience. And what I mean by that is that almost anything goes. Things like making your own game modes or making maps with custom rules so that you can play like unique mini games or really whatever you want to create. And by doing this, it'll not only re-engage players, but also give people a tool to create exciting new content for the game, which is something that I have been wanting for a long time. In fact, I even asked Danny this question on a Time to Explain podcast quite a while back when I was on it, but they actually had to cut that question from the final version because he felt like that he gave an answer that gave people maybe a little bit too much hope, but the end result was pretty much what Frank said. I mean, it's a huge project, but they want to do it because they know that Map Maker can be and should be something so much better than it is now, but they just like had to find the time and the people to commit to working on it. So it looks like that is still the plan, and they are wanting to get it done next year, which is amazing. What would also be amazing is if you subscribed and, came back for my next video. But if not, whatever, it's cool. I'll see you in the next one. I actually got to come back here to turn it off. This is kind of awkward now.